Hi, welcome back. This is My Life with Plants. I'm Newman, and today's topic is growing Phalaenopsis indoors. And I live in a tropical region, as you know, Japan, so the temperatures get up to 35, 37, sometimes they get to 40 even. This is about 95, 98 Fahrenheit. And I grow my Phalaenopsis indoors, although I could grow them outside, but I would have to hang them under the trees. There was no other place that I could grow them outside. And if you have a greenhouse in Japan, they have giant industrial fans and air conditioning. Without the air conditioning, the Phalaenopsis would not survive the summer here. It's that hot. And on the contrary to that, we end up with super cold winters that are very dry. So not tropical at all, but very dry, which is typical of a lot of Asian countries, and can get down to 17 Fahrenheit, minus 8 degrees. So keeping them outside is something that you cannot do either. So we're going to talk about how to grow them indoors. Alright. Over here we have a typical Phalaenopsis, and these are just the large flowering white form. As you can see here, they are in full growth. They've been growing. So we're going to start off with lighting. Lighting is not a big deal with phals, and in actual fact, I've seen a lot of Phalaenopsis growing way away from any window. So for example, we have a window here. It's back up and back up and back up, so you can see. Now you can see that shelf over there in the window. That is a good 3 meters away from a window. They grow fine. In this room we have this large window, and then you can see the phal. It's that far away from the window. I wouldn't want it any closer than that. Now that the sun is dropping in the hemisphere and it's still utterly hot, they do not like any direct sun. This is like filtered sun. You can see it on the floor. It's been broken up. So that is okay, but if I was to put it close to the window, they would burn, and their burns ultimately would lead to their slow demise. They would slowly die. It would be a hard process trying to recover them. So that is lighting. That's number one. If you do not have lighting or any window, you can use grow lights. You don't need to have a lot of light to grow Phalaenopsis successfully. Number two is air. We have a window open. We have an oscillating fan that goes on and on every day, non-stop, because they require airflow. Without airflow, you will get mold and fungal issues. So they need good airflow. That's an absolute must. Number three, growing media. We're going to start off with this. Let me just get it out for you. This will be a typical growing media that you find everywhere. Unless it's bark, you will have something that looks like that, which is pumice and bark with coconut husks. Okay, so you will find that you will have that as a growing medium. Now you're growing in that, believe it or not, and sphagnum moss. There's not a lot of difference between the two, and here's why. Both of them, you need to let them dry out thoroughly. Now this was my mistake, learning about growing in sphagnum moss. I just spotted a spider that walked on my sticky trap. I didn't mean it for the spider. It's a fungus gnats. There are 3 on there, and there's nothing on the other ones. So there's one on that sticky trap right there. So that's not too bad. I don't have many fungus gnats at the moment because I'm laying down sticky traps. Okay, so the sphagnum moss we were talking about, and even that chunky pumice mix you just saw, you gotta let the growing potting medium or media dry out thoroughly before you water again, because of the roots. The roots is what dictates how you water them, no matter what you grow it in. I don't mean garden soil, I mean potting media for plants. If you grow it in sphagnum moss or that chunky pumice mix you just saw, either way you let it dry right out until it's crunchy dry. So when you put your finger inside it, it feels pretty crunchy on the surface, and then as you dip your finger in, you won't feel any moisture. So it's getting really crunchy. That's the time to water. And why do we do that? Because the roots don't like to be wet. Now, what I mean about that is you water it thoroughly, almost thoroughly. I water this enough that the moss moistens up until some water's coming out the bottom of this pot, but then I don't water any more than that. And each watering is once every 3 to 4 weeks. I will water this pot. You can see my hand there for size comparison. Even though this pot is big, half of it is styrofoam. There's like this big thick block of styrofoam in the bottom. That's how all these poles are standing up, because you don't need it all, okay? Just bear that in mind. You have a giant pot like that, you're not going to fill the whole thing with sphagnum moss. That would rot your orchid. They don't require a lot of growing media at all. What I mean about that is that it's no deeper than 2 inches of sphagnum moss. The rest of it is styrofoam, and that's all they require. So after it's been watered, it slowly dries out. So this was watered, let's see, Thursday, and it's Sunday today. So if I put my finger in there, it's kind of damp now. It's just damp. It feels like some washing that you just put out on a sunny day, and you can feel just a slight dampness. It's kind of like that. I mean, if I was to squeeze it, I wouldn't get any water out of this. Okay, now as it dries out, it lets the roots dry out too, which they need to. So on the watering day they green up, it sucks up moisture, and then it starts to dry out slowly. So it'll take the next 3 weeks for it to thoroughly dry out before I water it again. I used to do semi-hydro, so I would always keep water in the bottom of this tray and have a wicker and all of that stuff so that the medium is moist all the time. Now I had bad luck with that. And I've tried it many times, thinking that, okay, Phalaenopsis like moist, so I keep the medium moist, and I would even spray it. And it led to rot over and over again. So I've rotted and killed Phalaenopsis plants over and over and over for over 3 years. I've done it. Now I let the medium dry right out until it's really crunchy and dry every 3 to 4 weeks, and then I'll water it again, and voila, these plants are back to health again. This one only had one or two. You can see here that there's the remnants of a root that I had left over, and there's the rotten part. See that? This is what was happening. They were growing out these new roots, and then they were rotting as they came in contact with the media. Now this plant has pushed out all of these new roots, and not only are they healthy, but they're going into the media. So it's pushing them in there to get moisture, which is a good sign. They're not going up and out and trying to escape in the pot, out of the pot. And you can see another one there that is going down into the media, and there's roots down there too, reaching down. One of them had a bare stem like that was like a strangled chicken that had gotten so long on this one that I did a cut. So I cut the old stem off with the rotted roots or whatever were left, and I pulled it out, and I got a candle and I melted the candle so I could drip the wax on the cut surface to seal it off, put it back in, and it's actually doing better than I thought. I didn't expect it to recover this quick, but these are its first 2 leaves, and this is its newest one. So it's already grown 1, 2, and a third, and the roots are much healthier. You can see there too, nice roots. So that's the watering. Let it dry right out until it's crunchy. You're poking your finger on the surface, it's all crunchy. And you got to I put my finger right down in there and all the way up to the end of my finger, and have a feel. If I feel moisture in there or dampness, I will not water until I put my finger in and it's all dry. So that's how to water them. Now if I was using the chunky mix that's over there with that pumice and all of that, it would be the same. I would water it, and I'd let it dry right out, and I would wait at least 3 weeks, 3 to 4 weeks before I'd water it again. If there's any moisture left over, don't do it. And if you don't believe me, believe what I tell you. 3 years of rotting and killing my Phalaenopsis. I had a whole collection. I killed all of them, every single one. And there's only one left that I can say that survived, and I don't know how it did, but I did notice that was starting to lose all of its roots too, and I had a chance to right it. Okay, so let's just move on, because we need to show some more, don't we? So you guys can see what I mean. Okay, I'm starting to fade out a little bit. That's because it's 35 degrees, so it's colder in here. Oh. Alright, so we come along to this one. This is another terrible, sad orchid. It lost every single leaf, and all of these are new leaves. It has all of these roots with these green tips, these massive roots. it is now pushing its new roots into the media. You can just make out, I think. This is growing again. This is another one. Let me get it out. This is a perfect example of doing the right thing with your watering. I bought this in sphagnum moss. At that time I learned my lesson over and over and over for 3 years. Okay, so that leaf is the new one. Never repotted it, didn't take it out of the sphagnum moss. See the new root there and that one? See all the nice green roots inside there? This was watered also Thursday. And yes, it's still moist, right? Because I watered it and I left it in the cache pot to soak up the water for about 20 minutes, and then I drained everything out and I tipped this pot up like that until all the drips have stopped dripping out. This will not to be watered until that is bone dry, and I mean it, all the way down to the bottom. Crunchy, bone dry, and that will be a month. Whoops, didn't mean to put it in that hard. Oopsie. This will grow happily, and even though the media is retaining moisture like this, every day it dries out and dries out, and as it dries out the roots can breathe again because they need oxygen and air, and by the time a month has come around, it'll be ready for another watering. So I did not take it out of the sphagnum moss and do a big song and dance about it and complain and say, oh my gosh, it's in sphagnum moss, it's going to die, I got to get it out of here. The last time I got my Phalaenopsis, it was in sphagnum moss, and its root system was super duper healthy. But there's just one thing I did wrong, and that's water it while it's still got moisture in it. And lo and behold, my beautiful big Harlequin orchid rotted all the roots out. And it was in the sphagnum moss when I bought it. So here is, look at that, this whole new leaf is new. It's dropped nothing. It has these very green roots. You can see the roots inside the media there. So I've done nothing, I haven't repotted it or anything. And so this shows that your key secret to, we have to kill this mosquito that got in somehow. Welcome to the land of mosquitoes, Japan. You go outside and you get ravaged by them. Unless you live up in the countryside, they have thousands and thousands, no, millions of dragonflies that eat them all up. You don't even need repellent, there's that many dragonflies. So this shows, right? You can see that old root there? That's when I used to keep it moist, see? Just rotted. So this just shows that the sphagnum moss works. And not only that, you are going to rot your orchid, your Phalaenopsis, even if you have that chunky bark and pumice and you water it regularly, you're going to rot it, even in that stuff. However, to end this video, I'd like to say if you are living in a tropical area such as Florida, where you can keep your orchids outside all year round, because it's the winters are warm and still tropical, at that time you mount them. Okay? And when you mount something, you can water it every day. Every day will be fine because those roots will dry right out until they're all silvery. And this is what it likes, okay? This is the secret to growing Phalaenopsis, is the watering. And temperature. This is the last subject, temperature. Phalaenopsis hate, as you know, direct sun, okay? Direct sun will burn them, and even if you don't see any signs, it's coming. It's just going to all build up and kill the orchids, so keep it well away from direct sun. If you're growing outside and you have them on a mount, you put them hang them under the trees, under the canopy of the trees, so that it's in full shade, but it's just bright, okay? But no direct sun, nothing. Don't hang them somewhere where the sun will move around in the afternoon and they'll get an hour or two of direct sun. That would be a total mistake. Don't do it. Hang it right up under the canopy where there's no sun getting in, no chance. And, okay, this brings to the last subject, temperature. Phalaenopsis do not like temperatures that go over 35 degrees Celsius, which is approximately 90 Fahrenheit. When you get to 90 Fahrenheit, you better have these fans blowing, or better yet, an air conditioner. I keep most of my fowls in the living room where the air conditioner can be turned on. And if it gets to 35 and you do not have an air conditioner, keep a window open, keep the fan blowing, because that will cool it off, okay? Not only does it give it airflow and oxygen, but it'll cool these leaves down. So if I touch these leaves, they feel cool, okay? This is a good thing to do with your fowls, is to touch the leaves. It feels nice and cool. Okay, if you grab it like that and it feels hot, but you have a window open, then you need to turn on the oscillating fan. Gotta have it. These plants would just get slowly stressed out day by day, and then they would just go downhill and slowly die. So that's temperature. Ideal temperatures for them is between 15 degrees Celsius to 30 degrees Celsius, okay? These ones will put up with temperatures down to 10 Celsius in this room with no heating, no central heating or anything. I will still turn this fan on, even then, because they need the airflow. So they're right down to 10 Celsius will be no problem. Inside, that is. They won't get any leaf tip damage or anything like that. They will just slow their growing right down. At that time, you should keep the media, like I said, let it get dry and crunchy, and then at that time you give them a little water to moisten the moss, but not soak it, just to moisten it. So you would probably half a cup of water and dribble it around inside this moss so that it just retains some moisture, and then let it dry right out again. That's for winter. Okay, so that is the key point about keeping the fowl cool, the fan blowing, and touching the leaves. Leaves feel hot, you're in trouble. Your fowl is in trouble, it's stressed. Should feel cool to the touch. Okay, I hope that helps you with your Phalaenopsis, because I have 3 years of terrible loss of my Phalaenopsis over and over and over again. And you saw that one that I showed you in the little pot. That is a that is a sign. That I've had that for, it's already been a year. Yeah, oh, it's already been a year. And I know it because I can only get to that store once a year, every October. I can only manage to get to that store because there is some event from my workplace and we go to a certain area, and there they have a nursery that has a lot of Phalaenopsis in it, so I know it's every year. So I've had that for a year, and there you are. That's one winter and one summer, and you can see how healthy that one was in the sphagnum moss that I didn't repot. Sorry about that. Yep, and I just wanted to share this. So do not be afraid to let it dry right out till it's nice and crunchy and dry, and you stick your finger in, you feel no moisture, and then you water it again, okay? Okay, I just need to show you this, otherwise I'm not explaining everything. One more thing. It was a wee bit noisier in here. This is the fowl I was talking about that had survived, even though I was making mistakes, and now it has this exceptional root system, and it's all going into the media. Now this one is has a cash pot. That and see the pot with the holes in it. That's the pot it's growing in, which you can take out. Now why have I got it in a cash pot? It's not to pour water in so that it drinks the water up slowly. It's not for that. It's to keep the humidity around the roots. They like high humidity because they're a tropical plant. And so after watering, I drain everything out. I tip it upside down, and I try to get all the drips of water out, and so that the medium is just moist after watering, and then it slowly dries out over 3 to 4 weeks. And the reason for the cash pot, once again, is to keep humidity, and humidity is indicated by the start of moss. Moss will start growing. It'll be very hard to see, but in there is moss, and moss shows that you have humidity and you have a nice cool temperature that's not too hot. Okay, that's what the cash pot's for. Not for pouring water and keeping water in there, no way. You can see the nice glossy new leaves. Okay, here's another one that did not take it out of the sphagnum moss at all. How healthy is that? Can you see all these new leaves? These are its new leaves. Nice glossy. Right? They're nice and flexible. Nice and glossy and green. And once again, did not take it out of the sphagnum moss. Didn't do it. It's still there. And the sphagnum, the reason why people are confused with sphagnum moss and they say it gets acidic and all of this, and okay, that would be if you were growing it outside in sphagnum moss, you'd have to put dolomite lime in there. By growing them indoors like this, the media grows right out and then you water again, so it doesn't build up acidity when you do that. You would have to keep it moist, and then the sphagnum moss would start to rot, and then the acidity would go up. Sorry, the acidity, the pH goes down. If it gets down to 4.5 or something like that, that's bye-bye root system. However, I'd like to say that every 3 months I put a powder form of dolomite lime in a little squirty bottle, and I let all of the sandy particles settle to the bottom. However, what's left over in the water is consumed by the water. It's actually mixed into it, and I squirt that into my bottles that I water my plants with every 3 months, and that is to keep calcium, magnesium, which orchids need to be healthy and green, right? And also helps with the pH so that things don't go sour in your pot with your growing medium. Okay, so all these orchids are getting the same treatment, all the same. This is how things have been going for the past year for me. Nice happy roots. This one is still in its original pot with bark this time, but not the sphagnum. This one is still in its pot when it was a keiki, and I took it off my larger plant with the glossy dark green leaves there. That one is Sakudan. It's got another name. Sorry, I don't know. It's very fragrant flowers. You see that? You would want to water it, wouldn't you? You'd be itching to go get that water and give it another one. Let's try. No. Down in the bottom of that is moisture, okay? It would be a mistake to water it. That's why I'm using these clear pots, because I'm doing culture indoors, so I need to lift it out and to check inside. So that is a clear plastic sitting in the cache pot that retains humidity. Also keeps the roots cool, I forgot to mention. So this is what my phals look like now. Okay. Nice glossy leaves. When I touch it, nice and cool. What is the temperature in here at the moment? It's about 25 degrees Celsius. It's 25 degrees Celsius. This air conditioner is still going so that it isn't 25. Okay. Let's have a look at this gauge here. It says 60% humidity and about 30 degrees. Okay. The air conditioner is still pumping because it's trying to bring it down to 25. As soon as it stops pumping, it'll be 25 degrees. Okay, so that's it. We've covered everything. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions, let me know. I can now say that I know how to grow Phalaenopsis indoors culture. Alright, until next time, we'll see you. Bye-bye. One more to show. You can see that the sun is starting to drop in the hemisphere, and it's coming in on this phal, which has some pretty fantastic large leaves. And you can see they've dropped this cloth over the top, and I've pegged it because the sun is coming in on it. And we have some signs of stress. You see that? Yeah. That's that direct sun I was talking about. So I am practicing to be the dummy again, and I should know better than when it gets to September and the sun is dropping in the hemisphere and it's going on my phal. I should have put that cloth over because it was just above on the pegs here. I had it right here ready, but I'm too slow and too dumb. I touched the leaves and they weren't too bad. They were kind of a little warm. Alright, but this cloth has to go over them. Will that cause any problems with its growth and all that? No, not one bit. It'll still grow fine even with that cloth hanging over it. it's blocked out that much sunlight because it's got to stay cool. Alright, but I'm still going to keep it in the bright light. It just has this over it. I'm not too late. The plant is fine. It's got nice healthy green leaves. There's no signs of it getting any damage or anything. Just this one a little bit. It is a older leaf though. But yeah, you gotta remember these things. Gotta remember. And here I am. I did this video and I reminded myself that I need to do it because it's September and that sun is dropping in the hemisphere, coming in on my phal, and I touched the leaf and I thought, geez, you know what? Better do it. Why do we miss these things? Why? Okay. There's beautiful flowers, this one. It's fantastic. Anyway, that's it. I just wanted to share that one little bit with you about that direct light and how hard it is on your phals, and this is a way to get the sunlight off. If you cannot, I have no other way of hanging this away from the window, so it has to stay in there. But just by putting this cloth over that I did last year, it was 100% worked. Kept it cool. And yet it's still getting the bright sunlight. Anyway, that's all for the care tips on Phalaenopsis. If you have any questions, let me know. This time I can guarantee that I know what I'm talking about, okay? I've learned all my mistakes big time, and I've come out on top, but with a lot of losses, as I said, and I regret it. This one is one of my survivors that I've had for many years now, and it has been through a lot. But the things that I've decided to do with it have worked, and that's why it's still here. And just wanted to quickly pull this up to show you how gigantic this new leaf is. You could row a boat with it. So that's testimony to my better understanding of these plants, which can be very confusing for people that buy them. They can get very confused. Oof, look at that leathery leaf. Man, that needs sun. Let's give it tons. But it's not built for that at all. Because maybe you're a Sansevieria person and have ZZ plants, right? They like some direct sun, right? And you think, oh, this got a nice tough leaf, nice and thick. Give it that sunlight, and then it dies on you. Because it's all built differently. These leaves are built for a different purpose, and that's to attain as much light as they can by producing big, fleshy, large leaves, and to store some water. And the roots are designed to cling onto trees and attain water as it comes, and then they dry right out again. So, okay, so that's it for today. I hope that was easy to comprehend, easy to understand. I hope it wasn't confusing. And until next time, I'll see you. Bye-bye.